Yo, JD here, Tyrrell Limus, and as you can see, we are finally back, and it's been a week since I've made a video. And if you didn't know, I've actually been on holiday. I've been in France skiing for the first time ever, so that was pretty fun, but equally exhausting at the same time. And it's been nice to have a little bit of a break from this and a break from F1. I actually did this race. I literally had 30 minutes to prepare for this race. I had zero practice pretty much. I think I did one qualifying lap, which is not a good thing considering how bad I am in qualifying this game. And probably about 4 laps in the race, so I didn't even complete a first stint. I knew to start on the soft tyres because someone told me. So this race, it sounds like I'm making a lot of excuses already, but I normally am reasonably confident going into most races, but this one I just really wasn't confident. And plus on this track in this game as well, I just didn't really enjoy it when I did the time trial around here, so I wasn't really looking forward to this anyway. So yeah, having a week completely off, 30 minutes to practice, and having about 3 hours sleep as well, wasn't really optimistic for this one pretty much. But as always, we always give it the best I can. I never ever try and give up when I'm actually in the game. Maybe outside the game I say I do, but in the game I always give it my all, give it 100%. And yeah, this is a fairly entertaining race, so hopefully you do enjoy it, and hopefully you miss me maybe. A little bit gay, but yeah, it's nice to be back on YouTube, nice to be making videos again. And yeah, when I started practice for this, I was just so bad, just almost 2 seconds off. So yeah, coming to this qualifying, just did not know what to expect. And you can see we're even in standard, so that's just how little confidence I have. Because the problem I have with this car, it's really good in the race I feel, but just in rich mix, I just find the oversteer, it just really difficult to control. And that's why I've been struggling so much in this car in qualifying this season. Just in rich mix, the oversteer is just unnatural to me, is the way I would describe it. Because I'm not someone who, my driving style, you probably recognise, I don't really short shift because that's just not what I'm like. I just never really short shift. I like to rev it out a little bit just to help me in the traction better, and that is just my driving style. In every game I've played, even non-F1 games, that's just the driving style I've adopted. 2013 I did it, 14, 12, those kind of games. So I've never really short shifted, and yeah, I'm just going to keep doing it because it's worked for me in the past. It works for me in this game, but in these situations in qualifying in this kind of car, or in this Haas car in equal settings, it's you can do it. You can hook up a good lap. We were purple for that first sector, as you can see. It is quick, but you'll be able to see now coming through these next sequence of corners. This is just a prime example of what I'm doing. So going to this, taking a nice line through here, but it's drifting out a little bit of kick, but that's mainly from the curb, not really oversteer from the car. And that's a lap bottled. So 14.7, it felt like there was just so much more time to be found, because I was even using standard in the last sector. So you know that made us qualify 8th on the grid, which I wasn't I wasn't that happy with, to be honest. But my qualifying this season has been pretty poor. Haven't really done a lap where I felt, wow, that's a really good lap there. I haven't really done that kind of lap this season yet. So starting 8th on the grid, going with this, not really too many expectations, but trying to get a good start as the lights go out now. And being cautious into here, so we've got Cupid and Finn, the 2 championship runners in front of us, so taking really cautious line. Managed to get Cupid there, so that's 1 position up front. Okay, so Snowdor has actually gone on the grass, and we're going to go down the inside of Finn. He's not really going to take too many chances because he's the championship leader at the moment, and get a decent exit off here. So that's 2 positions in this, as Cupid's actually on our outside. He's actually been pushed onto the grass, so a bit unfortunate for him. There was a bit of space, but with this game, you're running a risk if you're doing side by side. We're going into this corner, trying to take a nice exit through here, and we've been actually hit round by Snowdorm. So as usual, it wouldn't be an AOR highlights for myself if I hadn't been hit in some way, because every racer seems to be contacting me this season. But that's put us down to the 8th place again. So I lost 2 positions here with Alonso in front of us, and Snowdorm, I think, it's going away, but he comes out right in front of us. So that wasn't really good for him. That put me off quite a bit as well. I know he was trying to do the right thing, but You know, that could have done, if he didn't ghost there, that could have been race over. So good, there's slow motion of this. And yet we've just been clipped, breaking at the right point, and nice reactions to try and save it, because we could have actually spun into the wall if we didn't counter that sooner. And you can see now, always losing the car again. So we've just got to get into the rhythm. At this point, I was, you know, disappointed because I made a fairly okay start, quite close to the leaders. Just spun round. You can see the gap between me and myself and the leaders now, quite a big gap, and you can see Martin's already gone across the line. So, you know, that's probably a five-second gap or something like that. So that's just not really what we wanted at this stage. And as I said, didn't really have any expectations. Just to do just a clean, safe race. And, you know, we know we've got the pace in the race. So race pace has actually been very good this season, among probably the top 3, I'd say, in most tracks. So we know we can do it. Kind of still hurts that China win, just from my own fault, and the strategy kind of got taken away. A little bit of a sour spot for me, but we're just going to try to do our best for this season. And to be honest, I haven't really been playing this game much online at all, as we are about to go for a move on Alonso. A little bit of clipless, that could have been a lot worse, but we're going to go around the outside because these are on the medium tyres, so we just do not want to be held up here. Trying to be a bit aggressive and turning in massively early. And I did that because I just didn't want to hit him. I was just trying to avoid him, so we're going to let him past again. And then fall back down into 7th place. But yeah, basically on this game I've actually been using my wheel so much more than the controller. I was saying in the last month or 3 weeks I've probably spent like a day playing this game like online with my controller. The rest has been on the wheels, so just not even touching my Xbox for a week, coming back on this with just no time to practice at all. It just felt, you know, just getting used to holding the controller again, let alone trying to be fast at the game. So yep, just trying to do the best we can for this race, trying to enjoy it. And as I'm saying that, the rain is actually coming down at this point. So, you know, well, our strategy hasn't been exactly that great this season itself. So to have this on top, yeah, just really didn't want to be using my brain too much right now. But we've got a nice run on Alonso, and this should be quite a comfortable pass. It's us into 6th place. And, you know, the guys ahead of us, a little bit ahead of us now. Just that little bit of contact on that lap 1 has really disconnected us from the lead group, and yeah, that's definitely something I didn't want. But we're moving on now, and our pace has actually been good. We've actually started to close in on a few of the guys in front now. You can see Ciara, so we've actually closed in on him quite nice, and I think Hamilton's actually spun off as well. So, you know, we've actually closed the gap on the top, so our pace has been good, and we're now actually dragging I can't say the first part of his name, but Alonso along with us, which is actually fine for his brother. You can see the oversteer. That's kind of what I mean. This car, I just feel it can just snap on you at any moment. So we're in rich mix. It's just a dangerous car, but we're going to go down the inside once again. We just do not want to be held up here at all, because at this point I still feel the softs will be faster than the medium. So we are going to go down the inside, and now we are going to pit this lap. So we're actually feeling there's nothing to lose. I'm losing grip in the car as well. My times are starting to go off quite a bit, so we're going to go into the pits, and we've got nothing to lose here. You know, I was in 6th place or 5th place at a time. You know, we could always get a podium. It's happened in previous races where someone's done a massive undercut on us. So we're just going to gamble on this one and put on the intermediates and just see what happens. And no wing change, so no damage this race, thank God. And we almost hit the wall coming out of here, and I think we're going to hit the pit entry line, and we do. And I was lucky that wasn't a penalty. I was actually expecting a penalty to come up there, so kind of lucky. We managed to still keep one line in the track at least, but we've come out in 9th place, and we're one of the first people to pit on the intermediates for this. And in the wet tyre, where if you have a lap fresher tyres than someone, it's quite a big advantage, a lot more in the dry, I'd say, in this game. So we've really got to do a good out lap. But as you can see, having done 0 wet practice as well, and in the practice I only just did the dry, and haven't driven in the wet for God knows how long as well. I know our pace is normally quite good in the wet. You know, as we saw at China and Austria as well, our pace is really good. But having done no practice in the wet at all, it's going to be quite difficult. And this track is definitely not an easy track to get used to it in the wet. But as I said, we're just got to use our pace. We know we've got the pace there, the potential pace at least, and we're just got to see what we can do. But you can see we were 5 seconds behind, but now we're about 4 seconds. So we are closing in on Ciaru and the lead group ahead of us. actually quite quickly at the first initial stages, but you can see our tyre wear starting to develop now. So in the first early stages in the wet, our pace, well, looking back at the race director, we actually were the quickest guy on track by 3 or 4 tenths per lap. But then as your tyre wear starts to go off, that's where the guys in front who all have fresher tyres than us are just really just maintain and probably just pull away from us. There's nothing really too much we can do, because once your wets do go off, there's not really too much you could do. But we're staying on board on this rest of this lap. I think this is just a good example of quite a good lap and quite consistent in this race, surprisingly. So this is just an example of the kind of laps I was doing throughout the race here, and you can see trail braking has definitely been advised here. Short shifting more than usual that I would do in dry, so you can see nice early apexes. That's something I recommend in the wet, is really try and attack the corner, try and carry in as much speed as possible, and don't really worry too much about the exit speed. I really try and focus on carrying a lot of apex speed. So you can see really throwing the car in, goes out wide a little bit, but I find on this game compared to other games that having just that apex speed is just really important. And I probably will continue to do my wet driving school, something I just haven't continued, but it's something I probably will continue, because I think on this game, if you're good in the wet, that can really, it's kind of like your joker card. If you're really good in the wet and it rains, and we've seen it in other races this season, you can get a lot of time over other people, because it's just a completely different driving. And as you can see, our tyres are well and truly burnt at this rate. We've lost a lot of time because our tyres are about a lap older than the guys ahead, and as I said, that makes a big difference. So we were closing in, and now the last 3 or 4 laps we've been losing quite a lot of time, so we are going to have to pit. There's no way that we can go to the end, or the guys ahead of us can go to the end. I was thinking of pitting on like lap 19 to really just force the guys ahead to pit, but I thought there was no point really, because at the end of the race we probably wouldn't be able to hold them off, and it's quite easy track to overtake around here, so there's no real point in actually doing that. So we've actually lost the position to a lagged car, or lagged out car, Snowdall, who managed to hit us earlier, but he actually sent an apology after the race, so that is all good from me. But we've come out in 7th place and the leaders haven't pitted, so again, we've really got to focus on doing a really good outlap here. Really important, but I don't think we're not really going to manage to overtake the guys in front. So you can see, constantly looking at the pit lane here. Let's see if we can get anywhere closer to the guys ahead. And yeah, doesn't really look like we're that close. We've got Ciara in front of us, but I was just hoping if some of these guys battle, you never know, there might be contact, someone might use a wing. It's very easy in this game to do that. Got to keep pushing, and that's exactly what I was intending to do. Just push as hard as you can, and I know in the early stages, even with older tyres, you can catch people. So let's see if we could do that. And you can see now we've actually caught up to the guys ahead quite a bit on the first couple of laps. So as I said, really pushing on these laps, and you can see gaining a lot of time here. But it looks like the guys ahead of us are, well, Wycombs is coming into the pits now, and I think Flying Finn is on wet tyres, so they've kind of done the reverse on what I did, or kind of almost what I did at China, which I learned a big lesson from. Do not change tyres unless the feeling of the car changes. If your times aren't changing at all and the weather conditions are staying, because right now I would agree that this definitely looks like heavy wet weather to me, as it did for me at China. I was on wet weather, and then yeah, it's the track still looked the same to me, so I just stayed on the tyres. I wasn't losing much grip or anything, and yeah, that's what's happened here. It looks like it's on wet weather tyres, but if you're not losing any pace or anything, and your race director says that it's still going to maintain this weather conditions to the end of the race, then there's no point changing, because it would only be wets really if you started dropping off 3 or 4 seconds a lap, but we were only dropping like tenths a lap towards the end of the stint. So Flying Finn's going to let us go, because those wet tyres are just not going to work in these conditions, even though they should do, in my opinion. But yeah, that's the nature of the game, and yeah, sometimes you just got to do the opposite of what the game really looks like you should be doing. And it looks like Tyrrell Martin has done the same thing as well. So basically they're having a taste of what I had at China, just choosing the wrong tyres, even though I think it would probably be more logical in this case. I think it was definitely more my fault at China when I lost the win by doing what I did. But these guys have got to stay out now. They've got to really pay the price for this, because if they pit now, they go lose 20 seconds, they'll probably be out the points. So Martin, quite an easy pass on him there, and we're now going to be behind Mike, Mike Marshmallow. Always say that wrong every time, but we're going to be out behind him, and it looks like he hasn't pitted for intermediates yet, so he's still on this first set of intermediates. And this should be quite an easy pass, but also as well, I wanted to get past him quite quick because, you know, Ciara is not that far down the road, and we've actually closed in a little bit on them on pace. Definitely in the early stages in the wet, when the tyres don't really seem to make too much difference, we can actually gain. So if we can maybe gain a second on them or something towards the end of the race, he could make a mistake, you never know. But you can see that gap is pretty big as we always lose the car here, pushing Mike around the corner because I was very, very anxious to get past him and really just wanted him to pit, just really trying to just hassle him into the pits at this point. You can see not leaving him any room at all, but luckily he goes into the pits on this occasion, and that's us into 4th place in this race. And it looked like Reversal has now gone into the pits, so he's gone into the pits very, very late. I'm quite surprised he did that because I would have thought he would just covered off the guys behind. It looked like he had a decent lead. If they would have pitted behind me, I would have just pitted like pretty much the next lap, just on the same tyres, just to cover them off. So he's pitted very late, and that's cost him track position, which, you know, with 6 laps to go, pretty decent gap that Ciara's got at the moment. Not really going to be able to actually follow Reversal because he's got like 5 lap fresher tyres, and as I said, in the wet it seems to be a lot more significant than it is in the dry. So I knew at this point it was probably going to be 3rd place, but you never know, something can happen. And it looks like Reversal, that he's made a mistake here, so it looks like we can maybe salvage something. So I didn't know if he lost a bit of his wing, we had a puncture or anything like that. So right now we're going to be pushing flat out towards the end. It looks like he's struggling, so I don't know what he's done. I don't know if there's any damage in his car, and at this point I know he'd be pretty nervous, so trying to use the advantages, trying to get in the slipstream, and if he makes a mistake, we've just got to be there to take advantage, because as you know, in previous seasons, I think in season 9 round here, I was racing with my good friend Jack575, and he made quite a big mistake on the last lap, mainly because his tyres were just going off. So you never know, something can happen in this, but Reversal looks like he's got good traction on those tyres, and it's got to take a massive mistake from him in order to get that 2nd place. But it looks like Ciara, with the pace he's got, and obviously just the lap fresher tyres he had on us towards the end of the stint, as I said, you just can't really compete too much if you're driving the same. Not really too much you could do. But this race, in the podium position, considering the circumstances before the race, I'm actually quite happy with this. As I said, I just haven't really been playing this game online because, to be honest, for league racing, it hasn't really been my favourite game, if I'm being honest. And I think that's pretty obvious, and there's quite a few reasons for that. But I definitely still want to continue racing on this game, and for next season to get a more optimal choice in the car I want. You can ask me any questions in the comments if you want to on that. But we've managed to come 3rd place in Aor, Germany, and it says I'm in 2nd. I don't know why it said that. I don't know if Reversal had a penalty and it just hasn't shown up or something like that, but it says we're 2nd, 3rd on my screen. But, you know, I'll let the stewards decide if you want me to keep the 2nd place or not. So that is it from me today. Hopefully you did enjoy this race, and for me to be back on YouTube. Next video will probably be, I'm actually going to do a career mode video. I know I keep saying it all the time, but I will try and do a career mode video on the wheels. So as always, thank you so much for the support. Hopefully you enjoyed this race. Ask me anything you want to down below, and I will catch you next time. Cheers.
Wrap your head around this make-believe. You inspire as we grow older. Redesign as far as the eye can see.